Hi, it's Paul Wolf from howtoplaybassdotcom here with a lesson on how to play the bass line to the Bob Marley tune Get Up, Stand Up. It's a fun song to play, it's pretty easy, it's good for beginners, there's only 3 parts to it, the intro, the verse and the chorus, and the intro's only got 2 notes, it's very straightforward. Before we get started on the intro, if you're not already signed up for my free monthly e-zine, I recommend you head over to my website, howtoplaybassdotcom. Don't forget all the hyphens. There's a link just to the how you're looking at it, just to the left of the video. You can click on it, and just about any page on the website has got the subscribe button in the top right hand corner. Okay, the intro, not even going to bother doing it with a metronome, I'm just going to play it. Okay, so basically those notes are B flats, 6th fret of the E string, and then when it does that, it goes up to, from the B flat to C, which is the 3rd fret of the A string. And then that's pretty much the intro. And then the very last 8th note of the intro, there's a B flat pickup note to the 1st note of the chorus. So just remember to slot that pickup note in. And literally that's the intro. Should have seen the 2 hands real-time play along of that with the Bob Marley original. I'm going to play it slowly now with the metronome. To provide my metronome, I'm using this Tascam bass trainer. Very handy pieces of kit. You can see fits in your hand, the size of an iPod, slightly bigger than an iPod, but just about the same size. I've set the tempo to 110. The original's around 150. Stop that. Okay, so the first note of the chorus is the C, but you don't forget you've got the pickup note of B flat, which is the 6th fret of the E string. Now C, the location I'm playing it's here, so that's the 3rd fret of the A string. So you've got C, then you've got this phrase. And those notes are G and E flat, and then D, E flat, D, back to C. Those locations are G is the 5th fret of the D string, E flat, 6th fret of the A string, D, 5th fret of the A string, back to E flat at the 6th fret, back down to C, which is the 3rd fret of the A string. So that phrase is so those are the notes. Then the next phrase is and those notes are D, 5th fret again of the A string, up to G, which is the 5th fret of the D string, down to the lower octave of the G, 3rd fret of the E string, and then the pickup note is B flat, which is the 6th fret of the E string again, and then you're into the second 4 bars of the pattern. The first 2 bars are identical to as before. And then the second 2 bars of that pattern are slightly different. You've got C, 3rd fret of the A string, 2 8th notes on C again, then you've got D, 5th fret of the A string, G, which is the 5th fret of the D string, F, 3rd fret of the D string, and the pickup note B flat, 6th fret of the E string. So I'm going to play that whole pattern again really slowly. 2, 3, 4. And then you're back into the start of the pattern, and it just repeats. One variation just to note, when you play that whole pattern through the second time through, the very last pickup note the second time round is not a B flat, it's a C, which takes you into the verse. So we'll do the verse next. Okay, the verse is pretty straightforward, but what it features, the first sort of 3 notes of the pattern, it's a 4-bar pattern that repeats 4 times. The first 3 notes in the first and the third bars are quarter note triplets. So over the first 2 beats of the bar, you've got 3 evenly spaced notes. Now, if you're a beginner, counting something like that is quite tricky. So what I recommend is that you play along to the original. You can clearly hear the line being played on the original. So just play through that section or listen to that section a bunch of times. Sing along to the bass line, and that will give you the rhythm that you need to play your notes to. One of the great features of the bass trainer, if you've got one, when you're learning something like this, is that you can slow the track right down and play along with it really slowly to get the hang of it, and then gradually speed it up. Anyway, let's get the metronome going and we'll play through the 4-bar pattern. 3, 4. Play it again. Okay, stop the metronome. So note-wise, it's pretty simple. The 3 notes of the triplet are always E flat, F, and G, and I'm playing them E flat at the 6th fret of the A string, F at the 8th fret of the A string, and G at the 5th fret of the D string. So the first time through it goes, that sustained note there is E flat, which is the 8th fret of the G string. Then you've got a pickup note back into it, and that pickup note is B flat, the 8th fret of the D string. So same 3 notes, E flat, F, G, then down to B flat at the 6th fret of the E string, and C at the 8th fret of the E string, and then you use C as the pickup note back into the pattern. So it's fairly straightforward. Just get the notes first and then get the rhythm. The other thing to know is the last time through, when you're going back to the going back to the chorus, instead of playing C as the pickup note, then move your hand back down into this position, and the pickup note is a B flat to go back into the chorus. So that was Get Up, Stand Up. Good way to learn it is to isolate the parts, work on each sequentially, so do the intro, which is fairly straightforward, you just pick that up pretty quickly, then do the verse, play through it slowly, make sure you've got it down and under your fingers before you move on. As I said, if you've got the Tascam Bass Trainer, a great tool, you can slow it down, you can even get it down to half speed without appreciably changing the pitch, and then gradually work it up. And then when you've done the chorus, move on to the verse, and then try putting them all together and playing through the song. One thing before I go, as this is a reggae tune, one of the things you should perhaps try and do is aim to match a bit of the kind of the dubby tone that Aston Family Man Barrett had. Now what I do 3 things, 2 of which you'll be able to do irrespective of your bass, 1 of which you'd only be able to do if you've got the same bass as me. First thing I do is roll off all the treble, so you've got a very bassy sound. Second thing I do, just hold my bass up, you can see there's a strip of foam inserted just between the body of the bass and the strings. What that does, if I play, you can hear that it takes just a bit of the sustain off the top of the strings, and it just alters the tone slightly. Also, this is a trick I learnt reading about James Jameson, the great Motown bass player. Whenever I play any Motown stuff, I always use that as well. It's just a simple piece of bath foam, costs 50p, which is $1, €1, whatever it is. It's not expensive, and just cut up and slot it between the strings. And then the third thing I do, which is unique to this bass, is this is a digital modelling bass, and so what I've done is I've selected one of the sounds, which is quite thick and bassy and dubby anyway, and it just gives me a more appropriate reggae sort of tone. And the one other thing that you could do to give yourself a tone, I'll stand up. If you know how to do the thumb, so use your thumb as a plectrum, but what you do, rest the side of your hand against the strings. You have to experiment to get it in the right place. I need to take that out to do it. There we go. You'll hear that gives you a very dubby tone. If you've never done that before, just be careful you don't overdo it, because you can raise a blister on the side of your finger very easy. And it does the same job as the foam in many ways, in that by resting your hand against the side of these strings, what you're doing is cutting a lot of the kind of treble frequencies and the sustain, so it gives you a really nice dubby reggae tone. The other great thing about being able to do this technique is the foam thing can be a pain to get in. If you actually add a gig and you suddenly got to pull this song out, it can take sort of 10 or 15 seconds, and you have to be careful to dampen the strings with your left hand so that you're not making horrible noises that are coming out. So the foam thing's not so great for gigs unless you're doing a whole set like that. So having the thumb and muting with the side of your palm is another handy trick for your armoury. Anyway, that was Get Up, Stand Up. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, head over to my website, use the contact form, drop me an email. Okay, I'll see you next time round.